Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox, and I'm in a rather good mood. For you see, 18 years ago, my wife consented and we got married. Today's my 18th wedding anniversary. But in fact, we've been together 28 years. It took me and Mrs. Fox 10 years before she consented to actually marrying me. I had to sort of prove it through a long series of courtship rituals, a bit like some of those weird birds you see in the rainforest having to dance around and build things and do things. Anyway, eventually she consented and we got married 18 years ago. But let's say 28 years together, nearly 30 years together. And she's a marvellous woman because in all that time she hasn't throttled me to death. And that's something, isn't it? Nearly 30 years ago she looked across a crowded room and thought, yeah, he'll do. And eventually we married, and here we are today. So yes, my most marvellous wife, who amazingly puts up with me and all my crap. Anyway, this video, we're starting the day. We've got a lot to get through today by the look of it, but this video is not political. It is in fact a sort of an update on the Lucy Letby state of affairs. There's an opinion about where she is likely to be spending the remainder of her miserable life. And I was reading this and I thought, well, you know, really, this is something that people need to know to make sure that I think it will satisfy people that will see that she's not going to have an easy time of it. Let's put it that way. And I think that is quite right. The crimes she did do not deserve any kind of sympathy or easiness. No easing her into it or anything like that. And so it's just an example. I'm not going to get sort of smug with it. I'm not going to get, what's the word? I can't think of the term I'm looking for here. But I don't want to come across as vindictive. That's the term. I don't want this to come across as me being vindictive or anything. But I do think that there is a smattering of karma involved. And I'm just going to sort of highlight that. So let's have a look at Lucy Letby's future. Here goes. So Lucy Letby's prison home, where you'll hear screams all night. HMP Bronzefield in Surrey, where Letby is expected to stay, has been described as a hellish place by previous inmates. And good. I mean, literally good. I mean, it's not meant to be a holiday camp. These people are in there for a reason. And it is a hard prison. It is like it's where they put all the big problem cases. This isn't sort of women who've been caught for non-payment of fines or fraud or that sort of thing. These are the hard cases. And so Lucy Letby, who is, I'm going to say, we'll just go back to that picture. She is not a hard woman. All she could do is manage is babies. She's not someone who is going to be able to stand up for herself against sort of hardened criminal women, and it's going to be a massive culture shock for her, and she will absolutely fear, I think, for every day for the remainder of her life, and I think that's the punishment. It's not the lockup. The punishment is the fear. Lucy Letby will spend the rest of her life in prison after ending the lives of 7 babies and attempting to end the lives of 6 others while working as a nurse in the Countess of Chester Hospital. And although she spent time in 4 prisons since her arrest in 2018, nothing will have prepared the 33-year-old for her new lifelong sentence as a Category A prisoner with a target on her head, the Mirror reports. I'm just going to take a little aside here. I'm going to say, imagine that in her early 20s, she'd have met someone and got pregnant and had a child of her own. None of this would have happened. All the psychological reports were, of course, that it was kind of Munchausen's by proxy, but based on a jealousy because she did not have, and she was watching these happy families of husbands and wives, children, and it was, as Hannibal Lecter said, you know, it was that desire, it was that wanting thing, something close, something she'd seen, you know, and she couldn't have, and that's what caused it. If she'd have been younger and had a baby, none of this would have happened. but it goes to show that it's in that mind. It's a mindset. I'm not excusing her, of course. She is still a monster, but I'm just saying it could have been avoided. Anyway, although the serial and the killer's life... you've got to be careful how you put these because it's too early in the video. That's probably okay in the video now. Although the serial killer's prison home has not been confirmed, she will likely started her sentence in either HMP Bronzefield in Surrey, where she's already been, or at Low Newton in Durham, both of which have been home to some of Britain's most notorious female criminals. Bronzefield is the largest women's prison in Europe, and former inmates have revealed the horrors of what it is like staying there. Francisca Fattori, who was imprisoned for substance offences, recently opened up about what it's like inside during her year-long stay. She was moved to a protected wing, where she was close to married Philpott. I think that's a misspelling. I think it's married. I think that L should be an I. It's Mary. Anyway, she was sentenced for manslaughter after deliberately setting fire to her home where her 6 kids died. Remember, it was her and Phil. Was it? No, whatever the husband was called. But they're a weird couple. Anyway, they burnt their house down looking for aid and assistance and things, and didn't think they thought they could get their kids out, and they didn't. And so they need to stay in there for a long time. She also encountered Joanne Dennehy, who was dubbed Britain's most dangerous female prisoner, and she did for 3 men, if you remember. She was the one posed, and she had the big jagged sort of ninja-y thing, she was mental. Speaking to the Daily Star, Fattori recalled the most haunting thing about being in prison. She said, "The worst thing for me that stood out was the self-harming and the mental health in there. I hear the girls screaming all night long, and it's not an act. It's not someone kicking off. They would scream from 9 at night until 6 in the morning. Seeing girls coming out, having scratched up their own faces and beaten their own faces with flasks." Fattori, 43, said she initially didn't want to know about the crimes of inmates that they'd committed, but she soon had a change of heart after spending days anxiously looking over her shoulder. She said, "I needed to know, because I then won't talk to the people I don't need to. I would never kick off on the wing, because in my head, when I went to prison, that was it for me. I was going to change, so I had to behave." So for her, prison worked, it seems. She said, "I had to take my feelings aside of what you would want to say, what you'd want to do to somebody, and just be a better person. When I learned my next door neighbour was that woman, married, you just start thinking, wow, I'm in with some crazy, evil, nasty people. And there's one of them." As an aside, again, sorry, keep doing these asides. I'm wondering how long that woman will spend in prison. I don't think she'll be long in prison. I think she will have quite a short prison sentence in total. Not because she's released, of course. She added, "It's a lot to absorb, and suddenly be living in these wings and having to see these faces every day. Literally, you just have to think that if I'm spoken to by them, and then just don't speak back or keep it as minimal as possible, you have to switch off from their crimes because you have no choice." Another former inmate, Sophie Campbell, said her time at the women's prison was so disturbing that she was compelled to write a memoir about it called Breakfast at Bronzefield. Campbell, who was convicted for GBH of a police officer, said that the physicality and bribery was commonplace within the jail's walls. And she also spoke of witnessing a woman having boiling hot water thrown over her face during her first few weeks. So, Lucy Letby needs to be aware, because what they do, and I'm not condoning it, but boiling water only gets to 100 degrees. But what they'll do is they have the little things and they make their boiling water, but they put loads of sugar in it and basically make it a syrup. And so it's boiling syrup, which of course gets much hotter than 100 degrees and is sticky. And they pour that out and then they throw that over the face and it sits and it scalds in. But of course, being sticky, it doesn't just fall off, it stays there. And it causes immense damage and ultimately absolutely agonising pain and leaves permanent scarring. This is the sort of thing the women do. Men just get physical, but the women do things like that, and it's awful. It truly is awful. But you're not talking about nice people here. Anyway, in 2020, she said, as well as same-sex relationships thriving in Bronzefield, and it's going to be, isn't it? Some female prisoners were engaging in sexual favours with the officers to get substances or extra food. And that was the real shock for me. So it's so horrible how normalised it is. It's often gossiped and giggled about. And physicality is everywhere. It puts you on the edge. You have to be alert as a situation can escalate rapidly. And that's where you learn to adopt a new code of conduct inside. It rattles you. You know it could be you. Say the wrong thing or look at the wrong person. And you could be burned and blistered. And never offered medical treatment. And it is hellish. It's a hell on earth. Experts have said Letby will have restricted status for an inmate and will be on a self-harm watch for some months. It will be at least 6 months before she's integrated with other prisoners. And that's basically how long she will spend in prison, I think. She'll start off her whole life sentence living in the hospital wing of the prison while they assess her mental and physical health and protect her from other inmates. Eventually, she'll be moved into her own cell and then eventually into Gen Pop. She'll be spending at least 22 hours a day inside her single cell, approximately 1.8 metres wide by 3 metres in length. Inside the cell, Letby will have a single bed, a storage unit, a chair and a toilet. And that will be the remainder of her life. And I can't help thinking that's far too good for her. A thoroughly evil, disgusting woman getting a punishment that she meted out. I'm not satisfied. I'm not pleased. I'm quite cold to it, if I'm honest. I just want her to go away. I just want her to disappear and that we never refer to her again. And that is why I'm doing this video. And this will be the very last time I mention Lucy Letby until I'm letting you know about the end of her life. And I'm stopping there and I'm coming up. I don't think she'll make old bones. I think they're talking about 6 months and then into Gen Pop, and I think by 7 months we'll be reporting again. I don't see her spending a long time in prison. These people are fairly rough, fairly tough cookies. She is not. She is a delicate little flower, sweet summer child going into the lion's den. She will not survive. All I can say is good. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching this. Sorry it's a bit of a downer of a video to start the day. But I just felt it's important that people know that she is likely to have a proper punishment for the awful crimes she's done. And I think it's only right and fair that people know that. And we'll move on now. And we're going to have a look at something ironic and involving... the HMP, because of course it is, and we'll just lighten the mood a little bit there. But that one's out. We'll get it. We'll move on. We've got a lot to get through today. So thank you very much for watching this. Do please hit the subscribe button if you like, and ring the bell if you will. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and never ever give this woman another thought again. Bye.